Yes, mates, how's it going? My name's Lee, and welcome back to the FPL Punk YouTube channel, where we try to dominate FPL one game week at a time. Bryan Mbeumo went off injured last night, so what we'll try to do is highlight 5 players to transfer in and assess the pros and cons for each player. If you enjoy FPL content, please subscribe to the channel. Anyway, let's rock and roll. Be strong. So last night, Bryan Mbeumo got carried off the pitch injured. Thomas Hwang after the game said, "It is bad. He will definitely not play on Saturday against Sheffield United, and he will be out for weeks." That's the important bit, not weeks. We will know more in the next couple of days. This is his next 5 fixtures. If he's going to miss Sheffield United next game week, potentially for the game week after that, and then he's got his blank in 18, and then he's going to go AFCON after game week 20 and get in game week 21, I think it's time to sell. And what we're going to do, we're going to go through a few different options and try to assess the pros and cons for each player, but I think now's the time to sell him and may as well move on and try and get some gains elsewhere. So first up is Hwang, 5.7 midfielder for Wolves. He's a very popular choice right now, and I'm seeing his name being battered around quite a lot. 8 goals this season, which is really good in about 13-14 games, because he hasn't played every minute of every single game. He's got an XG per 90 of 0.35, 2 assists with an XA of 0.15. He's averaged 4.9 points per match, and these are his next 5 fixtures. So he's got a really nice game in 16 up against Forest. He's on 4 yellow cards, and this is something I need people to realise as well. He's on 4 yellow cards. It goes to the Asia Cup after game week 20, so game week 21. Everyone keeps forgetting about the Asia Cup. He's on the exact same time as AFCON, so if you already got the likes of Salah, Son, do you really want to add another one in there and waste another transfer when that third player should have been Bryan Mbeumo, and you're basically just having to guarantee a transfer later on down the line? Is Hwang the right option for the next 5 weeks? Potentially, but do you want to book in a transfer for game week 21? That's something you kind of need to think about moving forward. He has got a couple of nice games in 16 and 20, like I said, and he will play in 16, so you really wanted to play against Chelsea in game week 18, because obviously we've got the blank with Brentford and Man City. You really wanted to play in that game, and if you're spending for that one, it's a bit of a kick in the teeth, but I don't hate going for it. He's only 5.7 million, and he's fairly low owned. But with the Asia Cup coming up, I don't want to bank that. I don't want to almost book in a transfer for game week 21. Not the right play for me, but I can see why people are going for him. So I think Cole Palmer should be high up on everyone's list. 5.3 million midfielder for Chelsea. He scored a really good goal last night against Man United from open play, which is a really important bit. 5 goals, but 4 of those have been penalties. He's got an XG of 0.55 per 90, but obviously when you take penalties, that's 0.78 XG every penalty you take, so that's quite inflated. His assist, he's got 3, and he's got an XA of 0.21, and he averages 4.5 points per match. Obviously a little bit lower than Hwang, because he's got less goals than Hwang, but cheaper. He's got a great run of fixtures. My only concern is minutes, and it's the concern that everyone's got. If he plays 70-75 minutes in every single one of these games, I think we can expect some decent returns. They're going to get more penalties, and he's going to do pretty well. He's a good player, and just look at the state of that fixture one. Everton, Sheffield United, Wolves, Palace, Luton, Fulham. They've got a few good games after this, and then they've got Liverpool and a few more good games. It's just a really long-term, sensible pick. Even if you're not going to keep him, or even if you're not going to play him, should I say, then it just makes a really good first sub. And if you haven't got Palmer, then I think this is just such an easy move to come down to Palmer, get that money in the bank and spread that funds around. Palmer, for me, is probably the number 1 choice. Quickly moving on to Anthony Gordon, the 6 million midfielder for Newcastle, flying this season. 6 goals, 5 assists, 0.36 XG per 90, and 0.15 XA per 90, averages 6.1 points per match. Nice. 20% own though, and that's only going to steadily increase over the time. If you've already got Palmer, I think going for Gordon is a perfectly reasonable player to go for. Similar to the minutes risk with Palmer, I think there's also minutes risk to Anthony Gordon. We don't know when Barnes is back. We don't know when Wilson's back, what formation they're going to play. They're going to play 4-3-3 and push Isaac out wide. If he plays, is an absolute danger. He's really good in the big games. And if you look at his stats this season, he scored against United, scored against Liverpool. He's just a really good big game player. They've got Spurs next week, and then they've got Fulham, Luton, Forest. And then it's maybe 2021 when you might want to start thinking of moving him on. But for 6 million, you could bench him for those 2 games. And they've got a nice run after that as well. So if you've got Palmer, I think Gordon is probably the second best pick, and I can see why people are getting him. I've already got him, and I had him for weeks. He's just an absolute beast. Absolutely love. I've loved owning him this season. So this next pick, I've opted for a mini differential in Dejan Kulusevski, the ginger Swedish prince himself. Not been in great form this season, but we all know what he did a couple of seasons ago when he came in January and got something like 5 goals and 9 assists from January. Only got 4 goals and 1 assist this season. His expected XG and his expected assist per 90 really low, 0.15 and 0.17, 4.3 points per match. But I think he's really improved it like in the last few weeks. I think the system, like he's getting used to the system. I think the system suits him really well. And for 7 million, 2.5% owned, I think you can go worse than somebody like Kulusevski, to be honest with you. When he's fit, he plays. He's got a tough game in 16, but he's got a nice run from 17 to 20 up against the likes of Forest, Everton, Brighton and Bournemouth. I think Brighton is an easy game in terms of attackers because they're so open. There's always goals in their games. I wouldn't be confident if there's only defenders from either team in that game, but from an attacking point of view, I think it's a really nice game. I just think he's a really good player, and just the way he's kind of playing at the minute, I don't hate going for Kulusevski, like especially when there's other players kind of being batted around of like who to pick. I think he's being massively overlooked, and I could see him getting a decent return in these games. Are you considering a differential like Kulusevski? Leave a comment down below. Let me know who you're thinking of bringing in this week. Last up, Raheem Sterling, Mr. Razman himself, 7 million midfielder for Chelsea. Still 10.4% owned. I don't know how many people have carried it over. He's not returned a lot in recent games, but he's still got 5 goals and 4 assists this season. His XG is 0.22, quite low, and his XA is 0.15 per 90, 4.7 points per match. In his last 2 games, he's got 0 XG. Hasn't had a single shot in either of those 2 games. I watched him. I obviously watched the Man United Chelsea game last night. There was a really good opportunity where it's basically Sterling running through on goal. All he's got to do is square it to Jackson. Completely messes it up, and Jackson obviously misses, and Onana makes a decent save, but Sterling could have easily shot. Like he could have delayed the pass a little bit longer, and then it's just a simple open net. I just think he made an absolute mess out of it. But with these runner games, it's hard not to look at him. But what we don't want to happen is this is another player who's also on 4 yellow cards, and if he gets booked against Everton and misses the Sheffield United game, that's the one that you really, really want. That's like a 10-point banker in my opinion. That reminds me of like Luton earlier on in the season. Like incredible run of games, and if he can stay free of a yellow card, I think he's just a really easy and bring in valued almost the exact same at 7 million as opposed to Mbeumo at 7.1. Everton this week, Sheffield United, Wolves, Palace, Luton, Fulham. Incredible run of games. I can see why people might be flocking towards someone like Sterling. You are thinking of bringing Sterling in this week as opposed to someone like a Palmer or even a Kulusevski. Leave a comment down below and let me know your reasons why. Right mates, that's it for this video. So all we did today was just cover some potential transfers to Bryan Mbeumo. Looks like he's going to be out. I think we need to make that move sooner rather than later. Hopefully we get some more news around some other players and kind of see what we can do. There's not a plethora of players to go for. I think it's quite a small pool to go for. I would avoid players that are going to the likes of AFCON, so maybe the likes of Kudus. I don't see why you'd want to do that. Like I'd rather go to Jared Bowen instead. He's got the same run of games, and it looks like Bowen's going to play up front, even though I don't like it. He's going to play up front, and then you don't have to, plan that transfer further on down the line. And that's the same with any player that's going to AFCON or the Asia Cup. Do it if you really want, but as long as you know that you are going to plan a transfer in game week 21. That's the reason why I've tried to go for the likes of Sterling, Gordon, Cole Palmer, go for Brexit FC and all that. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like and leave a comment down below. Have a good day, peace and love.